Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep, literally, into one of the absolute wildest physical transformations in the history of life on Earth. You know, we hear about evolution a lot, but usually it feels kind of abstract, right? Well, not today. Today, we're going to look at the hard, visual proof of an entire species completely reinventing itself from the ground up. Okay, so let's start with a mystery. Have you ever wondered why modern whales, animals that haven't touched dry land in tens of millions of years, still carry the ghosts of tiny leg bones hidden deep inside their muscle tissue? It's crazy. To figure out how the absolute largest animals to ever exist actually kicked off their journey on 4 legs, we've got to go back in time. To solve this, we're going to follow a chronological roadmap. We'll track this from 53 million years ago to 50, then 46, 37, and finally, all the way up to today. We're charting exactly how a standard land-dwelling mammal shapeshifted into an ocean giant.
Part 1. The terrestrial ancestor.
Our journey kicks off roughly 53 million years ago, during the early Eocene. Picture the warm, dusty river edges of what's now the Indo-Pakistan region. And meet Pakicetus. Look at this guy. This was a creature that fully walked on land, had 4 legs, and honestly, looked a bit like a wolf. But its environment was already shaping its destiny. The evidence tells us Pakicetus spent a ton of time ambushing prey in the shallows, splashing into fresh water to hunt for fish. This right here? This is the very beginning of the whale family tree.
Now, on the outside, Pakicetus looked totally like a terrestrial animal, but its skull was hiding a massive secret. See, normal land mammals have these delicate, flat eardrums to pick up sounds in the air, but Pakicetus had this dense ear bone called a tympanic bulla. That's a highly specialized feature unique only to cetaceans, the group that includes today's whales and dolphins. So even way back then, evolution was already laying the groundwork for an aquatic life.
Which brings us to part 2, the amphibious middle ground. Fast forward a bit to 50 million years ago, and things are really starting to shift. The descendants of Pakicetus are spending way more time in the water, totally blurring the line between land and sea. Enter Ambulocetus natans, a name which literally translates to the walking and swimming whale. Talk about nailing the description, right? Ambulocetus was the ultimate intermediate species. It had these sturdy leg bones to kind of awkwardly waddle on land. Think of how a modern sea lion moves today. But it used its giant hind feet and a super powerful undulating tail to swim, kind of like a giant otter.
Part 3. Severing ties to land.
By 46 to 47 million years ago, this lineage had pretty much fully committed to the water. We are officially saying goodbye to the riverbanks here, with the arrival of the more aquatic protocetids, a group that includes Rhodocetus. Check out the pelvis on the skeleton. It has completely disconnected from the spine. Plus, the femur has shrunk by 1/3 compared to its ancestors. By unplugging the legs from the pelvis like that, Rhodocetus severely wrecked its ability to walk on land. But the trade-off? It gained incredible flexibility in its lower spine to power a massive swimming tail. A total game changer.
And while we're talking anatomy, notice this gradual step-by-step migration of the nasal opening. Back with Pakicetus, the nostrils were right at the tip of the snout, just like your pet dog. But by the time we hit Rhodocetus, they've slid up the face, sitting right above the canine teeth. You are literally watching a blowhole form in real time. It's a brilliant hack that let these animals breathe while staying almost completely submerged. And as you know, in modern whales, that opening migrates all the way up to the very top of the skull.
Part 4. Kings of the Ancient Seas. All right, let's jump ahead to between 40 and 37 million years ago. The shallows are fully in the rearview mirror now, and we're meeting the fully aquatic apex predators of the late Eocene. Meet Basilosaurus. Now, don't let the saurus part of the name fool you. This was definitely not a reptile. It was a giant serpentine whale that stretched up to 15 to 18 meters long. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the length of a semi-truck trailer. It was perfectly kitted out for the deep ocean, complete with incredibly heavy ribs that acted like diving weights, and front limbs that had totally transformed into rigid steering flippers. But here is where it gets absolutely fascinating. Despite its massive size and totally oceanic lifestyle, Basilosaurus still hung on to these tiny, perfectly formed hind legs. I mean, we're talking legs less than half a meter long on a 15-meter animal. These little legs had functional knees and toes, but they were absolutely useless for walking or swimming. They were just lingering evolutionary baggage from its past on land.
When you stack our starting point from 53 million years ago against Basilosaurus at 37 million years ago, the shapeshift is just stunning.
I mean, we go from a four-legged, river-wading furball with snout nostrils to a colossal sea monster with flippers, complex underwater hearing, and a blowhole. It's a masterclass in completely conquering the aquatic realm.
Part 5. The ocean giants arrive.
As the global climate eventually cooled down and marine ecosystems went through some dramatic shifts, these ancient lineages gave rise to the modern whales we know and love today. Over the next 30 million years or so, the transformation finalized. Those tiny external hind legs, gone completely. Meanwhile, the two major modern groups evolved some serious superpowers. The toothed whales developed echolocation, basically built-in sonar to hunt in pitch-black waters. On the flip side, the baleen whales lost their teeth completely, evolving these massive comb-like plates of baleen to filter feed on swarms of tiny plankton. And that trick right there is exactly what allowed them to grow to truly gigantic proportions.
Which actually brings us right back to our opening question. Modern whales still carry the vestigial remnants of a pelvis and leg bones. They're completely disconnected from the rest of the skeleton, just floating deep within their body walls. These little rod-like bones do absolutely nothing for walking anymore, but they do a massive job for us. They are the undeniable smoking gun proof of the whale's terrestrial past.
The evolutionary biologist Neil Shubin actually sums this entire transformation up perfectly in the source material for this explainer. He points out that nature didn't start from scratch to build a submarine. It merely tinkered. It remolded a four-legged terrestrial runner into a streamlined swimmer, stretching a body here, sliding a nostril there, shrinking a leg, and molding an arm into a flipper.
It leaves us with a truly mind-bending thought to wrap up on. The largest, most majestic animals to ever grace planet Earth achieve their epic scale and completely alien forms not overnight, but through millions and millions of years of gradual, breathtaking tinkering. The next time you see a clip of a whale breaching the surface, just remember, you were looking at a creature that walked right off the land and conquered the sea, one tiny change at a time. So it makes you wonder, right? If a wolf-sized land mammal can become a blue whale given enough time, what in the world might today's animals transform into 50 million years